Morning, everybody. It's 8:25 a.m., April 10th. Um, Crazy day on Thursday, short covering rally. Then we had the 3-day weekend. Well, Good Friday. Hope everybody had a good Easter, good holiday. And we got to get into these markets, right? Um, First, I've added a lot of subscribers as of late, building the channel. Hopefully, uh, what I'm doing here is making sense to everybody, helping people out. Um, Again, just want to introduce myself. My name's Steven Gonzalez, and I love using volume profile and market profile. Um, they help me see the market, give me an edge. They structure the market in a way that makes me see things very easily. Didn't happen right away. That's what I try to convey here on my channel. That the power of seeing the market that way, it's just a lot better than candlesticks, in my opinion. Obviously, I still use candlesticks, but that's just what I love seeing. And another thing I didn't mention, because I gave some shout outs for market profile and futures profile by saying Futures Trader 71. I had his belonged to his service for a little while. He taught me a lot of the lingo and stuff like that for volume profile. And Josh Schuler and Peter Resnicek really helped out with market profile and volume profile, how to see the market. Give shout out to Josh for the most traded price. That's why I get that from. And Peter Resnicek a lot for how to look at the market profile every morning and determine what you're going to do. Give him the credit there. Someone I didn't give credit to that I need to give credit to is two other people. Is Carmen Rosado from InvestiTrade. He's the guy who introduced me to supply and demand zones, which I use them as well. And I use them for confluence a lot with the other stuff that I've learned, right? And then finally, another guy I give a lot of credit to is Michael Edwards from TTG. Um, he really taught me how to combine like the fundamentals of the market and really look at news and the fundamentals, how it could shape the market, and especially with stock trading and risk management. Um, Big proponent, big shout out to him for that. And so I always like to give credit where credit's due. And I really did study a lot of their methodologies for a long time to come up with my own. Obviously, mine's still a work in progress. As always, please give me a like, subscribe. I'm trying to build a channel. Um, and let's get into this, right? I just want to probably do this introduction more often because I got a little bit of a uptick in subscribers, so I just want to make this channel better, continually make the channel better. So welcome everybody who's new, which I don't know if anybody is new watching, but I know I added some subscribers, so let's get into this. Let's look at the watch list first, okay? So what do we have here? The VIX is up 7.72% right now. That is pretty crazy, right? Um, TNX is up 2.22%. It's up to 3.36. What else we have here? We have Bitcoin's up 1.25%. All right, the dollar is slightly up 0.68%. Bonds are being bought, which is interesting because the 10-year yield is up. Now, obviously, the 30-year bonds doesn't mean that's the 10-year, but usually, if I see the 30 years being bought, that usually will. But this time, not really. So that's really interesting. Um, then we have crude is basically flat, and it's basically just been balancing since that big gap up with the OPEC cuts, right? We have the Dow is down 0.33, Russell down 0.47, ES down 0.5. Gold is down. Gold is definitely getting a lot of buying as of late, over 2,000. Nasdaq's down 0.83. Okay, let's go over some of the stocks I like to trade and stocks I really just stocks I like to trade. Let's just see here. If there's any leaders to speak of, none. Okay, let's go to laggards. And I'm going to go because there's a lot of one percenters, but let's just go to the bottom four. I'll include coin. Coin was up previously, but it's not now. Now, block, which is ticker SQ, got a downgrade. So could have something to do with it. Um, and oh, coin just like spiked up there. Apple, I just saw that they had their worst quarter in sales for phones or computers. Just recently. So they're down 1.32. Baba's down 1.35. AMD is down 1.37. Okay. Tesla down 2.69. Now I did see some news on Tesla that was a little disturbing. Their cameras inside their navigation or something had some, I guess you would call it explicit photos or something that the employees internally were like sending to each other, which is not good. So I'm not sure if that's the news that's taking that stocks down so much, but that's not a good news, obviously. Let's move into the top sectors. All right, no leader to speak of. Let's go to the bottom three. So that would be Exxon's down 0.89, and Qualcomm, Roblox down 1.08. All right, and finally we'll round it out with sectors. Okay, sectors. Now we all know I was talking about the defensives making a move, right? United Healthcare, Johnson and Johnson. Okay, um, there is no leader to speak of right now. So let's go to the bottom three. So discretionary down 0.53. That is Tesla. Okay, semis. That is AMD down 0.55. Technology. That's going to be your Apple. Okay, and that's going to be Nvidia as well. Is also in technology, and that's down 0.77. So hence why the Nasdaq obviously is weaker, right? All right, so let's get into just what we have on dock for this week, right? We got some major economic news coming. All right, but at first, before we get into that, just really quickly, with all this NFPs coming out and they added more jobs than we're supposed to, unemployment I think stayed the same. So this labor market's still very tight, right? I just want to bring up the give me one sec here. I want to make sure I have this for you guys. So I want to make sure you see this because this has been going around like crazy. And this is really the probability tool here. Now there's a 66% chance of a 25% basis hike. Okay, that's on May 3rd. This was going back and forth constantly, right? But with the employment data still showing that the labor market's tight on a Friday, this has been moving up. So I just wanted to put that out there, right? So let's get to our economic calendar for the week coming up. Oh, really? You're gonna freeze on me? That's kind of crazy. Give me one sec here. That website just froze on me. That's okay. We can look at this one. Okay, so let's look at some economic news here. Okay. All right. So today, really not much to speak of. However, let's see. Tuesday, I wouldn't say there's much to speak of, right? But then Wednesday, right? We have CPI at 8:30. We have Thomas Barkin speaking at 9:10. All right. We have the FOMC minutes at 2 p.m. on Wednesday. So Wednesday's just chock full of important data. Okay. What else do we have here? Thursday, we have PPI and jobless claims. And let me see here. On Friday, we just have retail sales and consumer sentiment. So that's what we have for the week. All right. Why don't we get into the daily charts of the indexes? So let's look at those. So the SPY. So what we did on Friday morning is we went lower. We went lower, and then we went higher. And we basically had a short covering rally. Now the rally in the SPY, it wasn't as strong as the Nasdaq. Okay, it wasn't as strong, but we did come down almost to this 405 level, the 90 MA daily, holding support, and we kind of finished a little above the previous day's high. Okay, in the SPY. Okay, but the SPY right now is at 407. So we're all the way down at the almost towards the lows. Okay, let's look at the Qs. Now the Qs even broke the low of Wednesday, right? Came underneath the 90 MA daily, this key level of 314.56, but then it had a short covering rally. Okay, and almost went up to the highs, finished there, right? But where are we at right now? Okay, we're at 315.65. We're right here. Okay, we're right there. So that mu is kind of being muted right now. All right. Now let's look at the Dow. Dow has that key level I've been talking about. Okay, this 336.19 is just a monster level. Support here, resistance here, resistance. Now we're in a range, right? So we're just in this little range. The 100-day moving average is holding this as support. Okay. Now let's look at the Russell, which has been the weakest of the indexes, and we kind of like made a double bottom here, but a doji on Thursday. Okay, came right up to the 20-day moving average, currently at 173. So we're pretty much like towards the lows too in the Russell. All right. Now we can look at my favorite, not my favorite, but the triple-headed monster that I like to call. Okay, we can look at that. All right, let's look at this 10-year yield. So we broke this support here, came back up, broke it again. Right now we kind of had a 2-day, a little bit of a 2-day range here, but now we're gapping higher. Rates are at 3.35 right now. Very volatile bond market. So have to really keep an eye on this because the bond market is the smart money, as they like to say. Okay, now let's get into the VIX. VIX, we saw a big bump up in the VIX. We closed down here, and now we're way up here, back at 19.78. We actually had a low of 18.35. That's the support here that has not been broken. If you can see this support, it's pretty it's pretty strong. Okay, so now we're making a move up. Looks like our resistance is going to be around 20. So keep an eye on that 20 level on the VIX. Okay. Now let's look at the dollar, right? The dollar has that doji land I keep talking about. That it's just doji. It's crazy, right? Crazy. Inverted hammer, hammer, and then another doji, and then now the dollar is making a little bit of a move today up to 102.45. Okay, hence why you're seeing slight weakness in gold, right? So have to really keep an eye on these three triple-headed monsters. All right. Now let's go into the volume profile, market profile. That's where we're going to get into the structure of the market. How I like to look at it, how I like to read it. Um, Let me get you guys that. Okay, so we can see right now. Let me get my marker. Let's look at this. Okay. So, what do we have? Now, we had this session here on Friday, which was in the morning when the NFP and then the market closed for Good Friday. So, kind of usually ignore something like that. All right. So, I'm kind of going to ignore that little move here. Important part is where the market is now. It's right here. Okay. About 41.10 right now. You guys know I like to talk about the most traded prices, right? So we have the most traded price of the week, and we're below that. Okay, that price is like 41.30. So we're below 41.30, which is usually tips my bias to the short side. Okay, and we don't have a lot of X at the bottom here of this profile. So let's look at let's look at this composite. Right, it looks like we could use some excess down here. And I don't know what's going to happen today, but to make a completed profile, you'd like to see more excess here. We just have a lot of trade going on here in the value area. Okay. And we're below the most traded price of the week. So I'm only going to relate this till Thursday session. Okay. Now you can see as much as we moved up on Friday and we pretty much went right up to the most traded price of the week. Right? Just look where we're at now in relation to that move. We had single prints here. That's emotional buying. And the market is already underneath that emotional buying. So pretty much just canceled out where we are now, canceled this move. Because price is here. The move was boom right there. Okay? So it's pretty much like that exuberance has been canceled. And we're back to the middle of the muddle, as you could say. All right? This market has a lot of indecision in it right now. All right? It just has a lot of indecision. Um, let's look at some levels that I like to look at. As everybody who watches me knows that we got to look at the overnight lows compared to the trading session of Thursday. So we have the low of Thursday, the high of Thursday. Okay, we have overnight low right at the 9 a.m. daily on the futures market, and we have the overnight high at 41.43. Okay, now there's been a couple supply zones made here. Okay, so you can see if we're going to look at this session, price is inside the session. Right, so there's not tons and tons of market generator information, not a lot of nuance that we're going to be able to get from this. Okay, there's not like these little nuances that I can say, oh, these are going to be caught here. These are going to, it leaves it up more or less to balance. Okay, it leaves it up to balance. We're just in balance. It's not a lot of edge to that. You don't want to force trades on that because, unless you see that edge you can exploit, well, then you got to wait for something to develop, right? Where you can take advantage of it. Okay. It's like being a hunter and like you have no shot, right? Your elements are bad. There's a bad wind. There is whatever. Like it's bad shot. uh, You know, whatever you're hunting. You don't want to just waste your shot, right? So that's kind of how I like to look at it. So again, today the level I'm paying attention to is 4130 here, right? If we stay below that, I have to be short biased. If we can hold above it, I might look at longs. All right. Now, does it mean I won't long if we're underneath it if I see something? No, that doesn't mean that. It just means that the easier trade below here is probably shorts, right? You want to make it easy on yourself. We are in a demand zone right here. It's pretty large, but that's where price is right now. Okay, we do have a couple lows over here, right here, that are susceptible to be broken. Remember, I said we can get excess down at this profile. So, yet to be seen. We do have single prints in the overnight right here. You got emotional selling here. Volume's very thin right here. Okay. But like I said, if you look at the profile, we're just in the middle of this big area of trading. So like I said, it's not going to be easy to just whip around there. All right. So why don't we get to our trade plan for today? Okay. Let's get to the ES trade plan, all right? And we're going to go for the short side first because we are underneath this 4130 level. Okay. So that we're in a demand zone right now. I wouldn't be crazy about just shorting here. Just a short here. I wouldn't be crazy about that. What I'd like to see, and it doesn't have to happen, okay? It doesn't have to happen, is I would like to see some buying here. Take out these emotional sellers. Here are the single prints in the overnight. And I'd like to see it come up and test this 4130 because you have a supply zone now here. It's also the most traded price of Thursday. Okay. So we have the most traded price of the week, the most traded price of Thursday, and a supply zone and monthly VWAP. So that's going to be tough to go through. So I'd like to see it come up here and see what the market tells me, right? If we start making some higher lows or some lower highs, right? Then you might look for that short and play for this demand zone here or the 90 MA daily, which also lines up with the overnight low, right? That's kind of a play that I'd be interested in, okay? Because you want to get some liquidity for your trade, right? So like if you get some longs in here and they can't make it here, well then once we come back here, they have to liquidate their position, okay? So you want to, oh, I'm hoping I'm saying your name. Wien Lam. Thank you. I don't know which one maybe you can expand on exactly what was smart, just so maybe I can repeat it or go over it again. But thanks for that comment. Um, so that's what you want to see. You always want to see some liquidity to fuel your trade. Okay, so if you take out these shorts, which are weak hands, go up to this key level. Now you have a decision to make on the key level instead of just shorting at the lows, and then you get poor trade location, right? So that's one. All right, that's one. Um, Obviously, the next thing would be this low here, right? And let's call it around the 499, 496 level here. There's a big demand zone here, so what you'd want to see, what I'd like to see is if we do any of this, fine. If you don't want to take this short, fine. If you want to be a little more conservative, let's see the market what it gives you, right? We can come down here, and it doesn't matter. We could even come up here. If we come down here and we break this demand zone, that tells you one thing, right? You're going to hurt whoever's long here, but then the main thing is building out some acceptance here. You want to see acceptance. You don't want to just see it do this, right? You want to see it give you some lower highs. Build out some value here. You know, and then you can possibly make a move to this demand zone, and it's in this naked VPOC. Okay, this naked VPOC just means it's the most traded price of a day that's never been touched. So some people call it a virgin or a naked VPOC. Okay, those are terms you will hear from me. Okay, but that's what it stands for. It just means, just like this most traded price of Thursday, okay, is until it's touched again, it's a naked VPOC. It's a virgin point of control. Okay, I didn't make those names up, but that's you can understand why those names are given to it. So that's the next short. Okay, now let's go for the long, right? Because we have that key level. Now I'll go over a long definitely you could take. That I'm not saying you couldn't take it. All right, let's go over my key to a better long, the higher probability one, right? So if we can get above this key 4130 level, right? You have supply here. I would want to see that broken. Okay. Now you have another supply here in the overnight high. I'd like to see this broken, right? And hold, just like I talked about below. Find acceptance higher above 4130. Okay, you want to see acceptance higher above 4130. Higher low, and then you go target this naked VPOC. And this is supply right here. Okay, that again, the naked VPOCs from the past. Okay, and that would be a good target. Now, why is that, right? Like I said, you always need liquidity to fuel a trade. So, what would fuel that trade, right? Well, we have shorts from here that brought price up here, right? And then we opened here. Well, what's the market right now? And I'm a little off my game here. Let me describe one other thing that's very important. All right, that I didn't discuss, that people who watch know that I talk about this, because this is very important. The overnight session is close to 100% net short. Okay, it's close to 100% net short. So that means from this open, which is right here of the overnight, there's only been this much buying, and this whole session's been selling. And where's price now? At the lows. Now, normally I talk about a fade off the open from this trade. All right, which very well could happen, and that's why I said we can come up and go right into this level, because you're going to take out these weak hands, right? However, back to what my point was for the long. Okay, that goes with that point. I'm hoping everybody's following what I'm saying. If I'm jumping around, I apologize. So like I said, shorts from here, and you have shorts from here. So all I'm saying is these shorts are now fuel. Okay, because their positions are here. If we hold hold the 4130 level, once we make higher low, if we start to break that, they're gonna cover, and that's gonna fuel our move higher. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at today. 4130 is the key level. Okay, hoping that makes sense to everybody. 4130 is the level we need to look at in the ES. Okay, so let's go to the NASDAQ. Obviously, the NASDAQ and the ES have not been in sync. All right, let's look at the NASDAQ here. Just want to make sure I have all the levels for you guys here. All right. All right. First, let's establish some key prices. Okay, I'm sure this is going to change, but I'm going to go real quick to the real-time trading hours. Okay, and just show you that's the most traded price of the last 5 days. That's going to change most likely because of the holiday, and this is a rolling 5 days. So that is 132.31. That's the most traded price of the week, the rolling. And then we have the most traded price of the month, which is about 129.10. Okay, That's on the real-time trading hours chart. We're looking at basically like a 24-hour chart with overnight and real-time trading hour sessions. Okay, you can see that this volume is this mostly going to shift to here. Okay, I don't want to confuse anybody, but it most likely will shift down to here 130.40. Okay. All right. Now that being said, okay, let's just look at the deposit profile for the last week. Okay, this is the profile. We have a distribution here, another distribution here, and another little one here. Okay, not the prettiest of profiles, but you can just see what the Nasdaq's been doing. Okay, now you can see as well. Let's talk about that big day on Thursday. A lot of single prints here, right from here. That's emotional buying, and then we closed up here. Well, where's price now? Here. We almost canceled out that exuberance of buying from Thursday. It basically, the market's like, yeah, great. That was a great move, but now it's canceled. And we're right back to where we were. Same thing in ES. So no surprise there, okay? So what we're within, let's see, the high and the low of Thursday, the high of the overnight, the low of the overnight. We're at the midpoint. I don't know if you guys can read this, but that says the mid, which is 50% of this move, of this day. Okay, that's where we're at. Another thing I like this to have is anytime you have a large move, right, that the market makes. That's why we talk about I will talk about Fibonacci, right? So a Fibonacci retracement, the 50% line is a line a lot of people look at. All right, so the mid automatically when this plots my market profile, it tells me the mid. So this would be the 50% retracement of Thursday. We're already below it, which is not a good sign for longs. It doesn't mean the market can't go higher. It just means it's not. If buyers were stronger, we wouldn't be down here. Okay. All right. So, what level right now is looking like to me? There's two of them here. Okay, in the Nasdaq. So this is the most traded price of the rolling week in the 24-hour sessions. That is 130.40 right here. So this level right here is important. Okay. Can this hold? Right? Because if it doesn't, we're probably revisiting down here. Okay. Now, what's the other level? Is the most traded price of Thursday. All right. So we kind of could have a ping pong action here. Okay. With those levels. Now I'm going to show you one more level that I just showed you earlier, but I want to make sure it's in your field of view. There it is. Okay, so the other level I track is the most traded price of the month, which is down here. That just means the most contracts and futures have traded over the last month the most here. Okay, that's around 129. What did I say it was? About 129.10. Okay, just keep that in mind. That's a major level. All right, and these are our levels for today. We got this level, and we have the most traded price from Thursday. So this is how I'm going to construct we could possibly see in the Nasdaq. Okay. Now another thing, we're almost 100% net short here. It's more like 85%, but you can see we opened and pretty much the whole session's been short. Okay. Whenever you have that, you do have a propensity to get a fade off the open, which means that there'll be all these you have all shorts from the overnight, and if they're contested and you start moving against them, they're gonna have to cover. Okay, and then that won't show strength. It will just show you got to take care of this business before you take care of the new business, right? So same thing as the ES. We have supply zones ahead, overhead. We have monthly VWAP right here. So you have a lot of tough sledding above us. All right, but we're at another key level here, so this could pose as balancing, but we have to see. So why don't we get into our trade plan for the Nasdaq? All right, and I'm going to go with the short side. Okay. Now again, like I said, the first trade could be a fade off the open. I don't think I'm that excited about that trade. Okay, if you're a scalper, maybe it would excite you. I would like to go for the short, right? And why? So I want to see price contest with these supply zones, the monthly VWAP up here, and the most traded price. This is a lot to get through, and see how much weakness there is here. Because if there is, you want to see those lower highs being put in, right? Then these buyers will be your liquidity, okay, to short. And then we can come down, take some profit here at the lows. Now you have this level that will most likely be the most traded price of today in the real-time trading session. And this should slow us down a little bit, right? If we could hang out here for a second, but then if we push through it and start making some lower highs, we could make our move down to the demand zone here and cancel all of this move out. I don't know if that happens. That's just a scenario. Okay, that's a scenario that definitely could happen. If you don't want to wait, if you don't want to go for this move, I would wait for this one. You wait for the break of this level and then weakness, and then you want to take profit here. Okay. Ultimately, can we move down to the most traded price of the month? Possibly. Possibly. Now that I'm looking at the Nasdaq right now, I don't think I'm you know crazy about a long. Um, now Now we talk about improbabilities, so I have to put this trade out there. But I want to see the market really move above all these supplies. And remember, this is the most traded price now of the week. I'd have to see this broken. This is also supply. I'd have to see this broken for me and hold up here for me to think about really a long. If I really like the longs, because then you're gonna get some short covering up there. Okay. The other one is, if we come down here and we're just weak, we hit this demand, you know, and we really just rip up and make some higher lows, well, then you can target this level. Because then you're going to, get the liquidity from the selling. They're going to cover, take profit. I wouldn't say that's my home run long, but you could do a long there. And everything's always based on what happens after the open. What's going to happen after the open? Because then you get to see what's weak, what's strong, so that's what I see. That's really what I'm looking at there. I like the ES. It's a little easier of a setup. Okay, it's a little easier. Okay, so that's going to be it for me. Hope anyone who stayed with me to listen to me talk about my scenarios, I appreciated it. I appreciate if there's anybody new here watching. I will post an update if I do take a trade versus these levels. So, what I like to see, just so everybody understands my methodology, is my based on the futures, what they do, I then will day trade a stock on the levels, right? I'll take a look at a relatively weak or relatively strong stock based on my charting, and then look at that to exploit a stock, right? Because the stock on itself can do what it's doing, and the index is getting pulled apart by all different sectors, right? Like the S&P, Nasdaq. If you're tech, that's really tech stocks. So that could single out those tech stocks, right? Because you're not going to have the other sectors pushing and pulling that index. So you're going to hear my Alexa reminder. I apologize for that, and you're going to hear it again. Um, but anyway, trying to grow this channel. I appreciate everybody if they give me a comment, a like, you know, subscribe. I would really appreciate it if you guys can help me build this channel. So, um, I just put that up twice, and I apologize for that. That's all I'm trying to do, guys. Don't give me a thumb down for that poor presentation of those graphics. I apologize for that. What's your media? What's my media? Can you give me some more detail on that question? What's your media? Twitter. Ah, okay. My social media. I got you. Here we go. Here's my Twitter. That's my Twitter. I do have an Instagram, but I don't really use it. Um, there you go, Colby. Thank you. Thank you. Um, um, yeah. So, um, yeah. Just any more comments, questions? I appreciate it. Trying to build something here. Retweet me, whatever. I try to do shorts, and I'm not sure if you guys are getting my notification for shorts when I do trades. But if I do it, it will be based on what you just saw. If the market, now not all of it, but majority of it, if I see what the futures are doing and I have a play in the stocks, I will use that read in the futures to do the stock trade. Now I do trade futures as well. I've been finding more success with the stocks though. So I will give a detailed description of that trade later. Okay. So that will be it for me. I appreciate, you know, uh, the watching, and I welcome again Lamb. Thank you for chatting with me, Colby, as always. Whoever else joined, whoever else watched, I hopefully you come back and we can build this together. All right, and I will do an update later if I see something that I find that's important. All right, all right. Stay green, everybody. Stay patient.